question we had the other night, like, it's kind of like not understanding the concept of an IRA. The premise. An IRA is a tax qualification, which you brought it and pointed out, because sometimes I've been in meetings dealing with that, and not quite. What is it? You're not, and then I realized they think an IRA is an investment, not a qualification of the investment. Here's the phone number, 504-260-0995. You can reach out to us through the Winning at Life app. You know what to do. You know how to get an app. Okay. So you just simply, you could text, email, call us through the app. You could use it to stream if you get away from your live feed, podcast galore access, and much, much more. So take advantage of that opportunity. So circling back to IRAs, and it's not uncommon for it to come up with like, is an IRA we've had it on the show before. They've asked it differently. Like, is an IRA a safe investment? You're kind of, what did you just ask?
Right.
Depends. What did you invest that IRA in? Because an IRA, like,
the thrust of the question was, where do I put an IRA? Where do I open an IRA account?
Yeah. So two-part premises. You're putting that account somewhere, i.e. a brokerage firm, a bank. Sometimes you can go directly to a mutual fund company. You can go directly to an annuity company, and you could establish that account, that account you're setting up is going to be established one of two tax ways typically at the court. There's a few others, but we'll simplify it. It's either going to be a qualified account or non-qualified account. A qualified account can be several things depending on your business, work status, so forth, but simply we'll define it as an IRA. So is the qualified account an IRA? Yes. We need a qualified account so we can put money in to work in a tax preferenced account. Most cases, people are looking to save money or build up money in that pre-tax. So they put it in pre-tax, like a deductible IRA ultimately is a pre-tax IRA account. You could establish that IRA account as a rollover account, meaning you're moving your pre-tax funds from the 401k to there. And you're growing it tax deferred. And we know ultimately it's taxed as ordinary income when it comes out. So now you've set up that account. If you did it at a mutual fund company, it depends, because there's mutual funds you could deal direct with. Most cases, people are setting those up at brokerage companies. You could set it up at a bank as well and just use bank interest rates to do that, or CDs inside of that IRA. So if you set up in a brokerage account, what are you investing in? Is it safe? Well, it's safe maybe if you're conservative and choose to be conservative and take bonds. Bonds have some risk as well, but you could do ETFs, mutual funds, stocks at the brokerage account where you've established that qualified account, the IRA. So inside of your brokerage account, which has an IRA account, and inside of that, what are you choosing as your investments? And once again, you could also go establish that account with an annuity firm and set it up as an IRA, and basically you're using an annuity to grow that IRA. So how is that annuity investing? Could it be index linked, being a fixed annuity? If you did a variable annuity, you could go and put risk inside of that mutual funds inside of a variable annuity. I would not be a big fan of that. You could do I'll refer to it as a CD annuity, but a multi-year guaranteed interest rate annuity. It's the annuities also set up as an IRA. And that style of annuity is doing whatever investments internally that you're choosing there. So once again, subject to how you're wanting to invest that qualified money. Well, what if it's not an IRA? I'm sure somebody said, well, what if it's not an IRA? Well, then it's a non-qualified account, meaning non-qualified means it's not an IRA. It's not a tax preferenced account. Non-qualified means it's an after-tax account. You're accumulating money that after you've received it through your payroll or your business profit, you've already paid taxes on the money, then you're taking and putting it to work, and that's an after-tax account we refer to as non-qualified. Well, where can I get a non-qualified account for? Same places you can as an IRA, it just doesn't have tax preferential treatment, so you're paying taxes essentially as you go. I hope I cleared some of that up.
Well, the classifications, qualified and non-qualified. A qualified account an IRA counts as a qualified account, but it could be any other tax qualified.
It could be a Roth. It could be a 401k, 403b, 457. There's a number of type of IRA accounts depending on how your business is, your employee status. Are you a 1099 or are you a W-2? There's a different type of qualified accounts, but it's basically the rules are allowing you to be putting a certain amount of money inside of that qualified account, which is preferential treatment, meaning shifting money to pre-tax, and then you're growing it tax deferred. Then you're going to pay taxes on it when it's distributed. And you're typically on qualified accounts, you're supposed to leave the money there at age 59 and a half. Then the other part is when you reach age 70 and a half, you're required to take money out. So you've got all these rules regarding qualified money, whereas on a non-qualified, meaning after-tax account, you can put money to work and then you can take money out whenever you want. You don't have to ever start taking money out of it as well. Now, if we're using an annuity in an after-tax account, there's some other rules in there because it does grow tax deferred, which creates some preferential tax treatment. So there's some rules like you're not supposed to take the money out prior to age 59 and a half. This is like a rabbit hole. We can just keep going down this thing.
Okay, so to answer the question, is an IRA a risk account?
It can be,
right,
depending how you invest it. And a lot of choices. You can do some dumb things with IRAs, and I kind of refer to that as alternative investments, like real estate, buying real estate inside of your IRA. It's complicated because most people are going to mess it up and disqualify the account with that. But years ago, I had a gentleman tell me about that he bought a vending machine business inside of his IRA. I said, and he never showed the documents to me. I said, I would love to see the documents that was created for this, just to see if it was set up properly. Had another gentleman tell me that he acquired this 40 acres inside of his IRA of farmland, and then he sold 4 of the acres to himself.
Oh, no.
From there. That's called self-dealing, and that kind of is a big no. So,
well, for the new guy, explain why those two scenarios you just mentioned are a disaster: the vending machine business and then the self-dealing.
Well, just an example of a house. If your IRA is buying a house, the IRA has to put down the deposit. The IRA has to sign off on the paperwork. You personally can't. Now, if that house needs some paint and remodeling before you start renting it out, the IRA has to pay for the paint, pay for the worker. If a glass breaks or toilet breaks, the IRA has to pay for that being fixed. Now you're collecting rents. The rents have to go into the IRA. It can't go to you, and it can't pay you to manage the property. See, all these things you kind of say, well, why can't I just I've got some paint over here in my garage. Why can't I just go over there and paint that door?
And what happens if they do? Everything they've taken out becomes taxable then?
Yeah, it creates a mess, and there's rules to follow, and that's why, like the vending machine business, I know when people don't want to show me their stuff, they didn't do it right. Sometimes people will come to me, I heard you understand how this works, here's what I've done. And I had something a few months ago, had a discussion about what somebody had done, and then they sold it, and I said, I would just leave that money sitting there a couple years in case the IRS sends you a letter. Then later he calls back and wanting some more guidance or advice. I said, and it was through one of my team members, and I said, I've given everything I'm going to do on that. I can't help him no more because that we had nothing to do with that. I was just giving him some heads up that you probably have some problems coming. I don't have a solution. Call the custodian where you set that up at.
Explain the self-dealing issue.
Self-dealing is it's your IRA, but you as a person are doing dealings with your qualified account. And the problem with that is the IRS says there is no self-dealing. Okay. Which means your kids, your parent,